Welcome to another episode of That Crazy Triangle Guy. Looking at the Bitcoin US dollar index on a weekly time frame here, zoomed out over the history of Bitcoin, just to show the pattern that Bitcoin has followed cycle after cycle after cycle with these perfectly parallel channels that it trades in between the parabolic bull runs. And we are at the end of another sideways movement, you could call it, looking zoomed out like this, uh, before commencing on our next bull run. Now, this bottom portion is a trend line that we've stuck to. We've had a lot of interaction with. Back here in 2015-16, we kind of danced above and below it. But you can clearly see the interaction and the direction of the price movement follows, actually, the direction of all the price movement trades within these parallel channels that are all perfectly parallel to this trend line here. Actually, probably more accurately would be when you're talking about parallel channels, it's really the center line of the channel that is a trend line, and the top and bottom of the channel are just ranges within which price action trades. Now, the real trend line is drawn here from the top here in 2013, April of 2013, through the price action, and has lots of contact points along the way. This is our trend line here. And you can see that as we've traded over the years, price action is slithered. Price action is slithered up about that trend line. So the tops and bottoms here are merely ranges within which we've traded. And clearly today, or in our current time frame, you can see with the FTX collapse, we came right here around. We'll zoom out even more here. Excuse me. So you can see it clearly came down to the bottom of our range and traded upwards along it before finally breaking out. Came back down here in March, back down to this area here, but not quite all the way in June, and currently back down here on it, coming off of it. So that's enough of that. And I may as well bring this up now. I'm going to throw on the moving averages. Now on the red, we have the 200 weekly. Green is the 100. The white is the 50. And the blue is not the 20. I've made that the 28 moving average because in analyzing the chart, I realized that the 200 day and the 200 weekly moving average are very, very close. I think the 200 day is around 27,780 something, and the 200 weekly is here at 27,870. So they're very, very close, and I wanted to see kind of what their interaction was over the course of Bitcoin's history. So now in blue, the 28 weekly moving average uh, is actually, that would be a 196-day moving average. So it's not quite 200, but I wonder if I could do decimals. Anyway, I won't try to figure that out now. So, over the course of Bitcoin's history, how have the 200-day and the 200 weekly interacted with each other? You can see where it's come down here and touched. They've touched right there. Let's just super zoom in and see. Yeah, yep, yep. They've touched right there, and where they touched and the blue turned upwards, we had significant movement upwards in Bitcoin's price. Well, interestingly enough, here, well, this one's, people say stuff like this. It's a bunch of nonsense. We fell below it and weren't able to maintain above it for this period of time. This marked our bear market. Well, if you're waiting for this to mark the bear market, you missed out on. You lost a lot of money between this high here and this high here. So when people say stuff like that, it's a bunch of BS. Um, However, now here, the 200 daily at its closest point to the 200 weekly is where we've not actually started, but we've had significant movement upwards here, starting back here that, before that. In here where it's got the closest here, we did start our parabolic run upwards in 2021. Now here, currently, we felt where this is the only time that we've fallen below it. And when we did fall below it here, we had our FTX collapse immediately afterwards. And then we stayed below it here. And now here, the 28. Now I know we've had the death cross with the 20 and the 50. But interestingly enough, the 28 has just crossed up through the 200 weekly and is starting to curve upwards here. So, what significance does that have? I don't know. Maybe we do see a big move upwards here. Um, and that would have some sort of correlation there. I don't know. I just wanted to throw that out as something I was looking at. And it's so now let's turn those guys off for a second. Let's move to the daily. Well, first of all, let's turn on the Gaussian channel because I want to show you that the lines that I've drawn here represent the bottom, mean, and top of the daily Gaussian channel. I can move this one down a little bit. I probably should have touched it. There we go. Well, doesn't really need to be that precise for our purposes here. So the green represents the daily Gaussian channel. The blue ones represent the mean band here on the bottom of the chart and the top of the 5-day Gaussian channel. And the red ones that are fainter here They represent the mean band here on the bottom and the top of the weekly Gaussian channel. And we've been trading between the mean band and the top of the weekly Gaussian channel for quite a long time, and it is a further extension of the Bitcoin worst case scenario that I had portrayed uh, earlier back here in May or so. I postulated that course of action. Now back there, I have this bright white line here, this thick white line back here, because I wanted to show you what I and everybody else were looking at was this was our major trend line from our low here at the beginning of the year. We hit it here, we hit it here, and we fell through it here. And with my cursor, you can see where my cursor is at right now. This is a ascending triangle with our top here, and tops back here in May. So we were actually I was looking for a breakout back here in June, which is really interesting when it is really interesting because what happened in June, didn't we? Oh, that was back here. Oh, this was the when the SEC announced their suit. I had thought we dropped down more back in June than this. Anyway, it's neither here nor there. So we were expecting a breakout back here in this area as we were approaching the end of our triangle, but let's get rid of this because this guy wasn't real. This guy is not real. He's not anywhere in any shape or form consistent with the overall picture here. So let's get rid of him. This is the trend line right here where we traded about it. We came down to it here. This is nonsense here. And we came back down to it here. That's the trend line. And we are coming to the end. And I don't have it. I took it off on the... Well, it's interesting that I did take it off on the daily because there was just too many lines here. But if you zoom out here, another trend line, which is also... I am going to go back to the weekly because I want to show you that this line I have here is perfectly parallel to our other channels. Here's the line right here that my finger is on, and I've drawn it perfectly parallel to these other channels that represent the direction of price action. Cycle after cycle after cycle, these are all perfectly parallel, representing the direction of the price action in our bear markets. In this line that I've drawn, and let's just make it a different color so it's more clear. Hell, let's make it orange. It's perfectly parallel to those. Let's go back to the daily. There's our orange line. And I guess I have to zoom out even more. You can see that this orange line and drawn from the top, our all-time high here in November of 21, parallel to the direction of price action cycle after cycle after cycle. And you can see where we came right up to it here on July 13th. It got rejected. Now we're back down here, coming up towards the top of it. And I think when we break out here, we will see a significant move upwards. Now this is all leading up to something, because what we have, okay, we have these vertical lines. This lavender vertical line is our FOMC meeting, which is today. Can probably get rid of that. This other one is our next FOMC meeting in November 2nd. I think it's November 2nd. And now the blue line represents the next CPI data release. Now this green line here is October 13th. And that's when I believe the SEC has to give GBTC a reason that they're denying their spot Bitcoin ETF. That's the deadline, 45 days from the judge's decision on August 29th. I tried to look that up earlier and I couldn't find anything to confirm that, but when we were talking about it at the end of August, I recall that they did have I believe it was a 45-day deadline to respond, consistent with the initial 45-day deadlines in as the first deadline from filing on the other Bitcoin spot ETFs. Now, also, the second deadline on a lot of the other ones are like the 15th, 16th, 17th of October. Now, I do believe that it's very likely that the SEC just goes ahead and approves all of them here. That's because the SEC looks really, really bad right now with its attacks on crypto and all these exchanges and tokens and whatever. It just, and what other members of Congress are doing, their attitude towards crypto and the losses that the SEC is having in these court cases, it's just egg on the face of the SEC. They're looking really, really bad, and it's looking like they are targeting crypto. Now they don't want to have that appearance. And approving a spot Bitcoin ETF here will help alleviate that. So that's the main reason I believe that, and they have no reason really. They have no reason to deny a spot Bitcoin ETF, and postponing it would make them look bad. And denying it here would further show that they are truly acting arbitrarily and capriciously in their behavior and viciously, really, because they're attacking our digital assets and our investments, and that's not what they're created for. They're not helping us, me, and my investments certainly in any way. Their actions are directly harming all of us. So, okay, that's that. Now, here we are on the daily time frame. So what is happening here in this area where I believe a spot Bitcoin ETF will be approved, is that we have the top of the 5-day Gaussian channel coming up here. We have the top of the 7-day Gaussian channel up here. This white line, this white dashed line, horizontal dashed line, is 28,800. That is a significant area of support and resistance that goes back and its foundation. It's well, it goes back here too. It's where we've come down to between our double top in 2021. It's where we came down to initially here in May of 2022 and held for support for a while before eventually crashing through with Terra Luna and Celsius and Voyager and all that nonsense. And then it acted as resistance and support back here and further support back here. So that's a major line of support and resistance, which we need to bust through. And all these things are coming together right here at the deadline for the Bitcoin spot ETF decision. Now, the daily isn't matching up. The daily happens before that. So that'd be funny. I mean, if they all three of those and this all matched up. Oh, and the other thing is this trend line as well. That, remember, is perfectly parallel to our price action, and through here and through the top there, I believe we will break through it right here. And yeah, this is a big area of resistance that we have to break through. But once we do, it'll be explosive. So now, if we do not get the spot ETF here, and so essentially up until that point, let me put this on. Well, I imagine that we'll just keep continuing upwards here up until this point. Just keep continuing upwards here, and possibly along the top of the 5-day Gaussian channel around here we'll meet some resistance, and we'll continue to move up through the daily Gaussian channel through the month of September. Maybe it's a little pullbacks or whatever, and this will be our big moment here as we head up to 28.8. Of course, I believe Bitcoin's being held down. There's no reason for it to be this low. There's a lot of interest in there, and I can't imagine how it's staying this low. So having said what I said about what I think about price action, I do believe we are about to see an explosive move, and that could come anytime. It could come well before this. Spot ETF could be approved back here in the beginning of October or later on in September, maybe even possibly here anytime at any moment in the next few weeks. Or other events could happen too. Congress is working on crypto legislation, so a lot of stuff's going on right now. And I do have this, since I am the crazy triangle guy. Got to point out my aqua colored triangle here, which we are currently trading near the top of here. Now, if we do bust through there, there is a potential, although it doesn't look real, like price action traded above here. Oh, I did want to point out what I was saying earlier. I did in a previous video. I believe that we would trade in this triangle here, up until the FOMC meeting. It looked like maybe more sideways here in this area, and we quickly broke above this triangle, and you can see how it acted as support. We came down and tested it and tested it and tested it and bounced off upwards. That's showing the strength in the price action. When I was expecting us to trade sideways here, as we had for the past month or so, uh, we didn't. And this isn't, a quick move upwards, fake out like we had back here, or fake down like we had here. This is consistent action. It's retesting here and here. So once we break above this, if we do, um, we could see a move. We could see a move upwards sooner than what I was talking about earlier. I gotta really zoom out here, and this is the target. This line right here. Um, which I took from back here. So that would be our target. Excuse me, and that brings us up to near the top of this parallel channel that we've been trading in. So these are all possibilities of what's coming up. Quickly, I wanted to talk about, because we were talking about the 2-day, 5-day, and weekly and biweekly and monthly extreme low volatilities in our previous video. Go back and watch that if you haven't watched that. And we are expanding off the 2-day time frame here, it appears. Now, however, there still is a possibility of us kind of petering out here, as we did back here in April. See, I thought we were going to continue to have a nice move upwards in April, and we got a dump here. So I'd still look for the next closure in 1 day and 9 hours. Not today, Wednesday, Thursday's close. And I don't think the 5-day or the weekly or anything like that is doing much more right now. 5 days still about almost 11 or 12. Still extremely, it's coming down in its extreme lows. So that closes in 2 days, 2.5 days. So we'll keep an eye on these things, and I better wrap it up here because I think I'm going to run out of time. So, here we are. We're coming down. Remember, this line, our trend line here, major trend lines, forming a nice, perfect symmetrical triangle with the not the apex, the vertex at right around here where the spot Bitcoin ETFs get approved. Now, a denial isn't necessarily going to bring us down. So if we come up here like this into this area, we get a rejection. I think it simply would bring us back down to the bottom, the mean band of our around here 25.3. We'd revisit 25.3 again, which is consistent with the mean band and this line that I've drawn that is perfectly parallel to these lines. And what is the significance of that line? You can see here that we came right back. We came down to it. That's the ultimate level that we came down to here in November and January, just recently, earlier this year. Okay, so let's wrap it up with that. And like, subscribe, share with your friends, and because I do believe you do not get this kind of analysis, this look at Bitcoin and the crypto market from any other channel, at least not any major ones. Um, See you next time.